The first scream wasn't fear, it was joy. Daddy, look. I'll never forget the way I froze at the doorway that afternoon. The sun was dipping low over the wide yard, painting everything gold, and there was my boy, my son, who had spent nearly his whole life in a wheelchair, standing with two brand new crutches in his hands, but not leaning on them. His chest was heaving, his legs trembling, but he was moving. And right there beside him, steady, calm, her voice low and guiding, was the one person I never expected to change our lives. Our nanny, a woman the world would call poor, but who carried a kind of strength money could never buy. Trust your legs, Eli. Remember, they're yours. That's what she whispered. And then step, he walked straight into my arms. My knees hit the stone before I even knew I was falling, tears blinding me. All I could do was choke out the words, "Maria, please don't leave us." You've got to understand how impossible that moment felt. For years, I burned through every connection, every doctor from New York to London. Specialists told me nothing was wrong, but my boy still couldn't walk. I bought the best wheelchairs, built ramps all over the house, hired therapists and nannies with flawless resumes. They came with soft smiles, stayed a few weeks, then left with polite excuses. Every departure cut deeper. And still, Eli rolled across those marble floors, watching the world pass him by. And then Maria showed up. 38, widowed, wearing a uniform that had seen better days and shoes worn thin. When I asked why she wanted the job, she didn't flinch. She just said, "Because I care about the child, and because I know something can change." I almost laughed at her. Years of broken promises had hardened me, but there was a stubborn gentleness in her eyes I couldn't ignore. From her first morning, she did things differently. She didn't push. Eli didn't treat him like a case file. She asked him about his favorite sounds, rain on the window, his favorite smells, Sunday rice, his strongest time of day, just after sunrise. Then she carved out a place in the garden, a stool by the palms, and told him, "Here we'll try, but no pressure. Just small steps, little by little." She sang old songs, the kind that sank into your chest before your brain caught the words. She massaged his feet every dawn, whispering to them like old friends, "Wake up, you're needed." And when he cried out that it hurt, she never lied. Pain is a messenger, Eli. It means your legs woke up. Let's listen to it, then keep going. I'd stand on the balcony, gripping the rail, torn between hope and fear. I'd seen my son fail too many times. But Maria kept showing up, steady as a heartbeat. She marked chalk lines across the yard, short at first, then longer. She taught him to hold the crutches without leaning. She made him laugh when he wanted to quit. And slowly, the house itself changed. Staff hushed their footsteps. The driver cut the engine early. Even the dogs seemed to hold their breath, as if no one dared disturb this fragile bridge between fear and courage. The day he dropped the crutches will haunt me forever. I was inside pretending to read a report when I heard the clatter of wood hitting stone and Maria's song rising like a prayer. By the time I reached the doorway, my boy was walking toward me, sweat shining on his face, pride burning in his eyes. He fell into my arms, shouting, "Daddy, Auntie." Maria made me walk, and that's when I broke. Years of pretending to be granite crumbled. I sobbed unashamed. I turned to her, the woman who had done what millions of dollars never could, and whispered, "Please, Maria, don't leave us." My hand went to my pocket where that small velvet box had burned a hole for weeks. I opened it then and there. My voice shook. "For Eli, for this joy you've given us, marry me. Stay." The whole compound went silent. Guards froze. Even the birds seemed to listen. Maria's hand flew to her chest, tears streaming. And she said, "I will not leave. That I promise. But marriage, not tonight. Eli needs days of quiet wins. Let us be patient." I closed my eyes, swallowed the wave, and nodded. Her promise was enough. From that night, our house was reborn. Gone were the endless empty dining halls and silent corridors. We ate fried plantain and rice together at the small kitchen table, laughing as Eli tapped his thighs, saying, They feel heavy but awake. Maria's eyes lit up at every word he spoke, and for the first time I felt what family really meant. But joy attracts eyes. A maid filmed the moment in the yard, Eli walking, while I knelt with the ring box. By evening, the video spread across gossip pages. Strangers mocked me as a fool, blinded by a nanny called Maria. A gold digger said my son was forced to perform for sympathy. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. And by dawn, the board demanded an emergency meeting. Ken, the coldest man at that table, wasted no time. We sell trust. Our CEO can't be a trending joke. Either distance yourself from her or step aside. My fists clenched under the table. You all saw my son. Experts failed him. She believed, and he walked. That is not weakness. That is hope. Ken sneered. Investors don't buy hope. Before I could answer, the doors burst open. And there was Eli. No chair, no crutches, just steps, each one steady, echoing across the boardroom floor like thunder. My dad didn't force me, he said, voice trembling, but clear. Auntie Maria didn't trick me. I walk because they believed. If you want a leader, choose the one who never stops believing even when the world laughs. You could have heard a pin drop. One by one, board members' hands rose not against me, but for me. Ken's smirk finally cracked. We had won. That night back home, the compound lights glowed soft. Eli practiced laps in the garden, Maria humming beside him while I held that velvet box again. This time when I knelt, it wasn't out of desperation. It was gratitude, love, certainty. Maria. I whispered, tears catching in my throat. Please don't leave. Not today. Not ever. Her answer was steady as stone. I won't. And Eli, laughing through tears, shouted, finally. The house that once felt like a hotel was now a home alive with joy. But life doesn't end in tidy bows. The gossip hasn't stopped. Some still say I've lost my mind. Others call Maria a miracle worker. And somewhere in the shadows, I know there are people waiting to twist our story to tear us down. So let me ask you, what do you see? A billionaire blinded by love for a nanny or a man, finally saved by the one person no one thought mattered. Where do you stand? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your own story if you've ever been judged for who you love or what you believe in. And don't forget to subscribe, because tomorrow I'll bring you another story that will make you question what's real, what's fair, and what's worth fighting for. The first scream wasn't fear, it was joy. Daddy, look. I'll never forget the way I froze at the doorway that afternoon. The sun was dipping low over the wide yard, painting everything gold, and there was my boy, my son, who had spent nearly his whole life in a wheelchair, standing with two brand new crutches in his hands, but not leaning on them. His chest was